This is out of Richmond, Virginia, on March 3rd, 2023. His name is Orvo Otieno. Hope I am pronouncing that right. 28 years old. He was born in Kenya and he moved to the United States when he was just 4 years old. His mother says he is an American as apple pie. America is all he knows. This is his home. Orvo was an honor student and an athlete. He began suffering from mental illness when he was away at college in California. He would be diagnosed soon after with bipolar and anxiety. He was taking doctor-prescribed medicines for it. The 28-year-old needed it so he can live as normal and stress-free as possible. Orvo is recognized through the police and the mental health workers throughout his area of Richmond. So they know about his mental diagnosis. And we know that, unfortunately, a lot of these cases with law enforcement and a mentally ill patient, it doesn't ever come out good for the person with the mental illness. Now, a neighbor reported that a black man was trying to burglarize a home. But that's not what Orvo was doing. To him, he was gathering up lights and arranging a solar panel. However, he was outside of this neighbor's yard. He was not inside. He was not leaving her house with a pillowcase full of jewelry. He was outside, clearly having a mental health breakdown. And you do not have to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist to know that's what he's having. The police had got to the scene and recognized Orvo immediately and knew that he was having a severe mental health episode. Mrs. Oko, she thought that they were there to help her son. Caroline Oko is Orvo's mother. They were not there to help her son. They wanted to arrest him for the claims that he was burglarizing someone's home. Mrs. Oko tried to de-escalate the situation, trying to phone the doctor. She was panicking. She was trying to do whatever she could do so that they would not arrest her son and take him to jail, but try to take her son to get some type of mental health. Take him to a mental health facility. That's what she wanted. Eventually, the police would call to have a mental health facility transport him to the hospital. Now that was good, right? However, police said during the transporting of Orvo, he became physically aggressive and assaulted them. So instead, they decided to take him to jail for the assault. It's no longer the fact that this young man still needs some mental health crisis. This is what he's going through. He still needs the help, but they take him to jail because he's assaulting them. So it wasn't even about the burglary anymore because that's not really what he was doing. So he allegedly assaulted these officers. While in jail, Orvo was punched several times in the stomach and he was assaulted as well by police. They injected him twice. They don't know if it was before he became combative or after, but he was injected. 2 days later, they decided to transfer him to Central State Hospital. Now, Orvo was without his medicine for at least 2 to 3 days. He hadn't seen a doctor that I am aware of. I didn't read anywhere that he had seen a doctor about his situation. Orvo would pass away on March 6th. His mother didn't understand why until she witnessed a tape of her son. Orvo was carried lifeless, wearing leg irons, slumped over, even nude in some parts of this video. The video has not been made public, but they are thinking about releasing it. As of now, only his mother, law enforcement, and people that are involved in this investigation has seen the video. He was not posing a threat. He was not even being violent. Miss Oko said her son was being tortured. There was a deputy with his knee on Oko's neck. There was multiple people on his body while his face was pressed down on the floor, and he was handcuffed. And this would go on for 12 minutes until he suffocated. One of the deputies had took the handcuffs off Orvo while he was dead and washed them, and it took them 3 hours to report the death to the state police. A cover-up. Now, before I continue, as I read and heard a lot of people commenting about what happened, they keep saying the same thing. They keep repeating themselves. We have to train. We have to train people more. They talk about it, but they never do it. And someone even said in a comment, it doesn't matter how much training these people get. If they have hate in their hearts, the outcome still may become in death. Now, this sergeant or deputy, whatever he was, he had his knee on the back of Orvo's neck. And there's nobody, I believe like 75% of the world know about George Floyd. That was like worldwide, not nationwide, worldwide. And this sergeant was doing this, or excuse me, this deputy was doing this. And everyone was pressing him down. He had his hands behind his back. He's on the floor. It's nothing that he could possibly do, but this man did this, and for 12 minutes. And then a lot of people was trying to compare this with the Tyree Nicols tragic story of him being at a traffic stop and a white police officer macing him. Meanwhile, 5 would brutally beat him to death. Beat him to death. And that was a story where they're saying that it's more to it. It's a lot more to it because they're saying it was more personal than anything. Then a story that I worked on. Tony Mitchell out of Alabama. He had a mental episode as well, and he was taken to jail because he fired a gun. So he was taken to jail. However, he was naked in the video. He was placed in what they're saying a freezer because he was frozen. He froze to death. To make a long story short, he froze to death. I covered all these stories, and I will put the Nichols story and the Mitchell story in the description box. I did do those, and they are almost similar to what's going on. It just seemed like everyone is just really out of control. 7 law enforcement officers and 3 hospital employees have been charged with second-degree murder at that psychiatric hospital. The workers at the facility are Darian Blackwell, 23, from Petersburg, Wavy L. Jones, 34, from Chesterfield, Sedarius D. Williams, 27, from North Dinwiddie. The deputies that were charged: Randy Boyer, Dwayne Bramble, Jermaine Branch, Bradley Dis, Tabitha Levere, Brandon Rogers, and K.L. Sanders. All the officers were placed on leave. If it's paid leave, I'm not sure. And the case is currently under investigation. Mrs. Oko held a picture of her son at a press conference with her older son, Leon. She said, quote, "I cannot be at his wedding. I cannot see a grandchild because someone refused to help him. No one stood up to stop what was going on, end quote. This is very scary because a lot of people do have mentally ill family members that they are taking care of, and anything could happen when one of these police officers are coming to your house and they may not be trained for what's about to happen. So it was good that they knew this man and they knew that he was having a mental break and they knew that it was not a burglary situation, but they decide to take him to jail because he was being, what they said, combative, and he was, hitting, kicking them, I don't know. But they decided to take him to jail for 2 days and then bring him to the mental health hospital. Orvo Otieno. Justice for him.